But anyway, he's in this. He wrote this and directed, and I don't know if he directed, but he wrote and created that. And it took him a few years put together, but basically the whole story, like I said, each episode is 4 episodes. All of them are one take. All of them are different aspects of the investigation, not the investigation, but the arrest to the investigation that follows that, trying to find the murder weapon, things like that, into the child psychologist trying to figure out if this kid should go to jail for the rest of his life. And I haven't watched the 4th episode. The 4th episode is the trial, I assume, or so it seems like that's what they're building towards. It is terrifying. It's terrifying as a parent because you are real time watching the cops bust in on these people and arrest this 13-year-old child and just talk. And they're not dramatizing. They're reading him his rights. They're talking. It's very real, but with a beautiful backdrop. You know what I mean? And the camera follows them all the way through. The 2nd episode blew me away because it dealt with a lot with kids in a school and like just kind of like inquiring there and like what was going on there. And like it takes you because it never cuts. So at one point you're going through this whole schoolyard into the school, all this stuff. I'm like, how are they doing this? With like a glide cam or like what do you have? Because it's got to be light enough to carry it for 45 minutes. And we get to the end where the guy, you know, the police officer goes back to talk to his son, and like it's a really nice moment between him and his son, and you're like, it has to be over. Who's it gonna follow? You know what I mean? And like then it goes right behind them and follows like another girl who was a part of the story, and then flies across town over to where the murder happened. And you see the father there. So it's still one continuous thing. And I realized they're using a drone. Holy crap. Like you can do a drone for that long. You don't even think about it, you know? It's incredibly staged, really well done story, incredibly acted, especially the kid who plays Jamie. I don't know his name, but he is the kid who gets arrested and is going to jail for this murder. But like, yeah, he incredible acting. But over the course of the investigation, you find out that it's really an in-depth look at incel culture and how this young boy who, and I'm not justifying the crimes in it or anything like that, because he stabs another 13-year-old girl because she didn't like him. And like he's triggered at certain points, and they do this really in-depth psychology appointment with a court-appointed psychologist to come in to just sort of like speak on his sentencing and like what they think. And it's just this really intense and fearful what do you call it, encounter between these two characters, this 13-year-old boy and this woman who is clearly terrified but holding it together. And it's it just is a really, like, I'm watching it with my son because he's 13 and I wanted him to kind of like, if he has any questions at this time, to like talk to me or talk to his other parents and stuff like that, and like kind of like, let's talk it out. I don't want you to feel this way because this kid is clearly insecure. And you see that a lot with incel culture, right? It's based mostly on insecurities and like defensiveness of protecting those insecurities from like being shining. And I I'm not going to speak for you, but I can speak for me. I don't know how many different type of like that in incel culture there are, like the different types, but like even when I was young, like you got it wrong most of the time, like movies, TV, you know, how you were supposed to act around girls, things like that, like what made a man, stuff like that, like, you know, quote unquote. And you know, it's one of those things I think about where I'm like, yeah, I was roped up into that. I was roped up into that culture and stuff. It wasn't an angry culture for me it was more of a pathetic culture on my end, you know, but like, I see that and I see like where I came from and like, thankfully grew from, learned from, and continually try to learn from, you know, and I will tell anybody who's like feeling these feelings, these insecure feelings, just personally, any young man out there, it is so much nicer of a feeling when you work on those things. And I mean, like, maybe talk to a therapist, maybe really work on these insecurities, coping with things, stuff like that. If you have a traumatic background, really trying to work on yourself, it will lift you up. Yeah, it will help and it will make you feel better. And honestly, like, I don't understand. I never understood treating women like crap. You know, I'm not saying I haven't had arguments, not even with my girlfriend, but like with women, like of course I have. Like
I mean,
back
yeah,
and forth, like you're gonna have arguments, but like it's not the same. But like what I mean is like I never felt the need to like talk shit. I'm not saying there wasn't locker room talk, things like that, but like I never felt the need to be part of that.
Is painting women as, you know, this monolithic bad, they're all this way, and it's recently I've been seeing some posts on Reddit about this particular thing, where some person who was kind of trolling incels, and it's been kind of amusing, but it's really kind of gut wrenching to see somebody who seems to genuinely believe this crap that they're talking about. It's like they're trying to logic. Oh, you don't understand. I'm going to prove to you that you're supposed to date, and it's so weird. And the culture of it is that they're constantly like, the analogy I've heard of is the barrel of crab. Have you heard of that?
I've heard that term.
Yeah, you have a barrel of crabs. Like fishermen put all the crabs in the barrel, and the crabs can't get out because they're constantly pulling each other back in. So and that's it. That's the analogy put forth towards with incels. Is like anytime any incel is on these forums, these spaces on the internet, and be like, hey, you know, maybe are we the baddies? And they're like, no, and everybody just piles on, telling that person that, oh, if you leave, you're weak. It's a cult. I know.